This year's edition of the Sundance Film Festival kicked off as all the others have. Robert Redford, the founder, holds a news conference right at the beginning of the week, and he outlines his vision for the festival, and he always does take a few challenging questions from the media.
John McKenna from CHCH TV. When the NRA put part of the blame for the Newtown massacre on Hollywood, I was wondering what was going through your mind.
I think it's absolutely not only appropriate, but overdue to have a dialogue. And the dialogue is now going on between the parties that it should go on. If I had, there's only one thing that probably I would, in my own industry, and it would be a question. It's not a comment as much as a question. Does my industry think that guns will help sell tickets? I don't know. It's not a question that I could answer. But it seems like a question worth asking my own industry, and maybe there's a reason that, maybe yes. I don't know, but it seems fair to, because I've noticed that how often guns are used in ads, as though there's something that translates in a positive way. I just don't know, but I think it's worth asking that question.
Robert Redford, he has always said that documentaries were close to his heart. So as this festival has gotten bigger and bigger, they've always made sure that there's still a platform there to support them.
Jim McGreevy announcing his resignation, and he took
documentaries such as Alexandra Pelosi's Fall to Grace, which chronicles the gay sex scandal which brought down former New Jersey Governor Jim McGreevy, and then his subsequent rededication of his life to helping women in prison.
When you grow up in Camden, New Jersey, which has the highest homicide rate in the state, when you're sexually assaulted 6 times by the age of 12 and you join a gang to survive, to literally get through the next 24 hours, I have to join this gang. This young, beautiful woman wants what we all want. She wants life, she wants love, she wants family. But she didn't start the race the same place I did. And so how do we think about what's the right way to address her ills? By locking her up for 7 years? Or by trying to make her whole? And that's the question.
McGreevy is critical of an American system that is quick to imprison its people. 1 out of every 31 Americans is behind bars, on probation, or on parole.
There are plenty of fallen politicians. That's not a very interesting story. What's interesting is what Jim did with his life after.
I sense the pain of their lives, the brokenness of their upbringing, the violence that was done to them. There's an immediacy, there's a grittiness, but there's also a transcendence in helping one single woman reclaim the promise of who I believe God meant for her to be.
In Stories We Tell, Sarah Polley turns the camera on herself and shares a deeply personal story that surrounded her discovery that her father was not her biological father. For Polley, the film was a struggle between keeping something private and her compulsion to explore it as an artist.
Usually I have pretty strict lines, and I don't use my life at all for, whatever I'm doing, whether it be, doing interviews or making films. So this was a real departure for me, and it was a strange departure, and I wasn't always comfortable with how I was exposing myself and the people who are closest to me in my life. But it's one of those things where I just started documenting people's stories and wanting to have that on record, and it kept snowballing until it actually became a film. And at no point was I totally comfortable with the idea, but at some point it was done.
Polley says that as she gets older, she finds it easier to handle the contradictions that face filmmakers, that while art is personal, there are public expectations.
I feel like it's getting easier now because I'm allowing for the contradictions. Like if you had said that to me 5 years ago, it would have been really helpful when I was just struggling up against the contradictions and not realizing that's just part of life. But yeah, I think that there's a way to be okay with and embrace the fact that there are contradictions in life. There are discrepancies. There are moments where you're doing things you aren't sure you're comfortable with, and just to sort of stay present with that and pay attention to that and not be too hard on yourself about it. And I think in the past, if I was ever in a situation where I didn't 100% choose it or think it was the right thing to be doing, I'd really punish myself for it. And it was just a difficult way to go through the world.
Going forward, Polley would like to do more writing, directing, and still act occasionally, but not all three at the same time.
I don't know if I'd want want to act in anything I was directing, just because I don't think I'm a strong enough director yet to be able to divide my brain that skillfully. So, I mean, I still would like to act every now and then.
Still to come.
Director, actor, writer Edward Burns got his first big break at Sundance, and now he sits on the festival's jury. Our interview with him after the break.